I hope everything works out for him. I hope everything works out for Benny, and I hope everything works out for Westside Gunn. That being said, I'm a little suspicious of Jay-Z. There's a part of me that thinks that Jay-Z is secretly behind the breakup of these guys, and he set up that whole meeting when they're talking about percentage in order to sabotage them finally and have them all separately to himself to control them easier. One thing that Jay-Z does is he collects assets. I think he saw the cracks in the foundation of the group years ago. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's your boy Phil Risden, and I am here talking to you today because my worst fear has finally happened. It looks like Griselda has broken up, man. Say it ain't so. And I know you guys are talking to me while you're watching this being like, Phil, bro, that whole Conway the Machine freestyle came out like a week ago. Listen, all right, I've been grieving. I've been trying to deal with it, and I've been trying to wait for the dust to settle because, you know, with this hip hop shit, man, shit changes every 2 seconds. And you really want to make sure that when it comes to creative decisions, as far as what are these guys doing in their lives, that they're not going to be wishy-washy and they're not just going to go right back to what they used to do. I remember when I was freaking out about Kid Cudi stopping weed. Look at him now. He's smoking blunts every day. See what I mean? But this stuff has me legitimately like depressed, bro. Like I feel like anybody out there who's into real roots hip hop, man, loves Griselda, no matter where you're from. There's people who are going to call it old head music, whatever, but I disagree. I think these guys are older, but at the same time, they've really done a lot for hip hop. Not only have they brought back a lot of the New York sound, which is crazy because they're not from New York City, they're from New York State, but they've also unlocked a lot of music potential in upstate New York, which they never get credit for. And I feel like they kind of ushered in the era of older rappers being recognized for how good they are at music. Like, I'm being dead ass. I feel like if Griselda didn't have their fame in the, late 2018 to about 2022, 2023 era, Nas wouldn't have been able to make as big of a comeback as he did. It was because these dudes were older. They were bringing back the New York style that he was kind of allowed in a certain way to come back into the fold, into the mainstream, and then really, really pop, which won him Grammys. Regardless, these guys are definitely New York legends already, no matter what the awards are or their number ones or whatever. I hate to see good art go away, man. But of course, not everything lasts forever, man. So we're just going to watch a little bit of this Conway freestyle, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about some of my theories about why I think some of this stuff has officially ended. I know it's a money thing, but there are larger things at play as well, too.
Flicking through pages of Wallow's news literature, dreaming of being free over a bottle of a prisoner. Fans stopped me in traffic to get my signature. I remember when all of this shit was just a wish was.
That's true, man. I remember when these dudes were not that big, and now to see them at this level is just it's truly incredible, man. It's truly incredible. Shout out to Conway, shout out to Benny the Butcher, and shout out to Westside Gunn, man. Really doing their thing.
Did a lot of reflecting when I spent last summer in Greece, thinking if it wasn't for Griselda, what would I be? Or maybe what would Griselda be if it wasn't for me?
This happens a lot in groups, man, is people are always fighting and struggling for dominance, right? Each person wants to be the one that is the reason why the group is what the group is, when in reality, most groups, most bands or whatever, everybody brings a certain element that is what creates that magic, right? But I feel like Westside and Conway, for the most part, are having this kind of tug of war of like, nigga, I'm Griselda. No, I'm Griselda, And I think that kind of stems a lot of bitterness between these three people. Benny, he seems like a little bit of the the middle child. I mean, he's the youngest one, but he seems like the one caught in the middle who's just like, guys, bro, like, we're all just fam, man. I'm happy to be here. We're all rapping our asses off. Like, let's just appreciate each other,
Glory, now all I want is my peace. Dinner with Hov, he told Dog, give your brother a piece. I seen it in his eyes right then, he don't want me to eat.
Yeah, so that is one of the primary things that a lot of people believe is the reason for Griselda basically splitting up, is the whole thing that Hov apparently told Westside Gunn, like, listen, you guys have been debating about ownership of the label and breakdowns with money and all this shit. Yo, Wes, just give them 10% and let's just leave it at that. Only 10%. You know, they can split the 10%, 5 and 5. That's it. And apparently, West Side Gun still said no, and this is really what seems to be creating the whole entire situation. So, Rory and Maul were talking about this as well too, and we're gonna watch this for just a second.
Did you feel about the Conway verse freestyle?
On the Make Them Pay?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my guy Conway, man. That's my nigga, man. Always love when I hear Con drop some music.
But
some of the things he said in there, I was like, it was a little disheartening and a little like,
What specifically?
I mean, something that I knew for a while, but I just never spoke about it publicly was the one of the main reasons why there was kind of like a split in Griselda was because West Side Gun didn't want to give Benny and Conway 5% of Griselda, so 10%, and let them split 10%, which is something that Jay-Z had kind of like suggested in a meeting with them, and Gunn said no, he didn't want to do that, which to me was shocking. When I first heard about that, I was like, word? Like, now don't get it twisted, Gunn, he definitely curated the whole Griselda thing. He got it lit, got it popping, but Griselda is not Griselda without the three of them.
I agree.
So when you say 10%,
that's nothing.
and we're family for real, like brothers and cousin, like, that was a little shocking.
And you know what? I'll say this, man. When it comes to this whole situation, I agree and disagree with Maul, right? I think 10% is a small amount, but at the same time, West did really make Griselda himself as the label, you know what I mean, as the actual business. He curated the style of it. There's so much to it, and he's had this dream this whole entire time. So to now be like, hey, give me a piece of that, I get why they want it, but I get why he doesn't want to do that. Realistically, if I'm being like just honest here, I think it would have been a lot better for these guys to do some sort of co-op situation of just collective co-ownership from the beginning, because if you did that, none of this would happen. I mean, there's so many stories of friends and families breaking up because of money disputes in show business that I feel like even if you're not popular yet and you're not famous yet, you kind of got to plan for that, because shit can really break down, man.
And I never spoke on it because obviously that's something that I guess, they didn't want to be public knowledge. So I wasn't going to be the person to speak about that. But Conway obviously, put it out there on this freestyle. And so that was something that when I first heard about that, I was kind of like, damn, that's a little fucked up. But I'm hearing that they've had conversations and are working through things and in a better place right now than they were a while ago. So hopefully they get that right. And then Conway talking about his split with my guy Chad, who was managing him. I spoke to Chad a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, and he let me know that, him and Con was going separate ways. Didn't really get into the whys or whatever.
And I think that's a big thing too, is that when you spend years in show business, man, whether you're big or not, when you feel that things are stagnant, you try to make certain pivots, to kind of change things, right? That's just a human thing, right? Regardless of show business, when shit's just not working out, you got to change something, right? So I feel like that's really what Conway the Machine is on right now. He's not really happy with the money he's getting from Griselda. He's not happy with his management. And so he's making a lot of shifts, man. So I hope everything works out for him. I hope everything works out for Benny, and I hope everything works out for West Side Gun. That being said, I'm a little suspicious of Jay-Z. There's a part of me that thinks that Jay-Z is secretly behind the breakup of these guys, and he set up that whole meeting when they're talking about percentage in order to sabotage them finally and have them all separately to himself to control them easier. I think he saw the cracks in the foundation of the group years ago. They've had this tension for a very, very long time, right? And one thing that Jay-Z does is he collects assets, right? He's doing all this different shit. He's doing the Super Bowl. He did the Barclays Center. He did a million things. Duce, right? He's always trying to collect assets and stock. And in hip hop, artists are the assets and the stock, essentially, right? They go up, they go down. You control them. You take a part of their profits. That's yours, whatever, right? After you invest, it just is what it is. And I think it's the same reason that the music industry went from rock and roll to hip hop is the fact that groups are harder to control. Three men thinking together in the same wavelength makes it a lot more difficult to take advantage of them, give them bad deals. I think he also knows that these guys have a large amount of admiration for him as well, and I think he looked at it and he was like, these dudes are a big name, they're a cool name, but I can do more for each one of them if they're separate, right? If you have Griselda, that's one thing, but if you have three of these separate guys, that's three separate things of revenue. You know what I mean? And if they've broken up, you never have to concentrate on maintaining Griselda, because that's the main thing with these guys. With every solo album that they drop, of course you want to see Griselda come back together, but with every drop that they have, they kind of split apart a little bit more. Imagine if Andre 3000 and Big Boy were dropping solo albums every single year. A lot of the fans would love it, but Outkast would take a hit. So they would have to promote Outkast a little bit more. Or maybe people wouldn't like the solo stuff in comparison to Outkast. So you would have to market the solo stuff more, one or the other, right? I think that's a lot of what Jay-Z's thinking is here. He's like, yo, why not just break them up? I'll have them as three completely separate artists that have a similar sound because they used to be a group, right? Then I can control a lot of their creative output a lot better. And then after years of them being split up, I'll convince them to reconcile. They'll go on a massive Griselda reunion tour and pocket the money. And it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea when you actually think about it. When you actually think about how ruthless Jay-Z is and how much money he can make from breaking them up and then bringing them back together, it actually sounds pretty fucking clever, man. I'll be real with you. And I don't know. There's something about this situation that just makes me feel like he has something to do with it larger than just simply asking about these guys treating each other right. And you know what? If it was anybody else behind the company or whatever, I probably wouldn't think that. Or maybe would think about it, but I wouldn't really speak it on. But it's because it's Jay-Z that I'm like, there's a good chance this nigga is that evil. He really is, bro. It's kind of crazy. I'm relieved people are kind of seeing through his evilness and through his ruthless capitalism. But I am annoyed that people are pretending he's no longer a good rapper. He's just like some average MC. That shit needs to stop. That being said, I hope Griselda gets back together. I hope this shit isn't as serious as we think it may be. And I hope that regardless, even if they don't get back together, they keep making the high quality music that they've been making this whole entire time. Well, that's the video. I'm going to get a haircut and I'll see you guys later. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. I'll see you. Peace.